Hi, it's Joy Foster, founder of TechPixies and the host of the Sparkle and Thrive podcast. And I'm really excited about our guest this morning, Jane Hyde, who came in as a teaching assistant, I believe, into our world and realized that there wasn't much of a career trajectory for her there. And also realized she was extremely creative and leaned into photography, something she's always loved, and is now a sought after brand photographer who works with clients all over the world, as well as running a job, quite a big marketing job, digital marketing job at a local hospice. So Jane, welcome. Thank you for coming here today on being on the podcast. It is, I remember when I met you in real life for the first time, right?
Yep.
You were actually one of our first online students. And then we
Yeah.
invited you to come and spend a day with us to do some filming and everything else to promote our online program. So I met you in real life, and I remember your sort of, is this going to work? Feeling, you were taking a punt, you were on us, and was it going to work for you? And what do you think? Has it all worked out?
Oh, I think it's been absolutely amazing. I think anybody that sees anything I post on any social media knows how I feel about Tech Pixies. Yeah, no, it's been incredible. I think that day was a real big step out of my comfort zone. And it was over an hour's drive to get to you for that and to walk into a room full of people I didn't know and speak
And
on
be on
camera.
film.
But it was one of those sort of special, real moments in my life where I know that I made the right decision, and as scary as it was, it's made such a difference. Yeah, incredible difference, really.
Well, let's talk about where you were and then where you are. But what was life like when you found Tech Pixies pre social media training, all that good stuff? What was life like? What were you doing?
Well, I'd when I had my children, I've got a 19-year-old and a 17-year-old nearly. I'd given up work and not given up work, but I'd changed careers so that I could be at home with them. So I'd gone into childminding, and then I'd stepped into education. So I got a teaching assistant position at a local school, which I loved. So that I could be there for the boys when they needed me, so I could do all the stuff that we have to do, school commitments. Um, and I'd recently got divorced as well, so things were all up in the air, and I realised very much that financially everything was on me. Um, I had an awful lot of encouragement from the headmistress at the school I was at to do my teacher training. It was something I looked into. I'm glad I wasn't able to do it because this opened up Tech Pixies to me. I stumbled across this sort of social media stuff, just sort of the normal evening of trolling through all the social media screens, and got in touch with you guys, and sort of explored the options that I could do the training alongside being a single mum at home, full-time job, two boys that needed me. And sort of it was the trajectory that definitely opened the world to me, I think is probably a good way of putting it. I was very much in the school mum headspace, teaching assistant, lesson planning, playground duty, all that sort of stuff. And Tech Pixies came along and was so supportive and so informative that I actually built my confidence, not just in social media, but my confidence in general, as a person. Yeah, I think one of the things that I talk about all the time is the word yet. I don't know that yet, but I can learn it. I don't know that yet, but I can do that. And it's those, what would we call them, ants, the things that you're most worried about doing or most scared about doing. Tech Pixie sort of gives you the tools in which to move past those and push through them. So yeah, it's been invaluable for life in general, not just social media.
Well, and interestingly enough, now you are a digital marketer, that's your day job now. And you went
Yeah,
from being a teaching assistant to a digital marketer, which is a big career shift. And a big
yeah,
part of that was the social media training you had. But also, you had and have a passion for photography. And I remember early on sort of having conversations about how that could become a career and what that could look like.
yeah.
And so let's talk about that because you've done some incredible work in the brand photography space. So yeah,
Yeah.
tell us how you went from social media to brand photography as well.
Yeah, well, to be quite honest, photography has always been a passion of mine. I've always loved it from the first sort of Kodak flip up camera that you had. We had to plug the light bulb, the flash into the top of it. But it's never been something that I've seen that I could make money doing if I wasn't a wedding photographer. And to be quite honest, I've done a couple of weddings and they terrify me. But I used to, as a teaching assistant, I used to do photography classes with the children after school. So it's one of the after school clubs, and it sort of really, it makes me realise how much I love it. And conversations with you about maybe not necessarily being ready for the social media thing because I didn't feel I had the experience, but the photography skills, I'd done courses, but it was just a hobby. It was never going to make me money. And I think it was realizing the existence of brand photography, that people need business photography for their websites and for their social media content. That was something that came out of the course, really. It made me realize that it's something I can do, and it's something that I've realized is such a passion of mine. I love it so much. I wish I could do more. Every time I come off a shoot, I'm absolutely buzzing. And I've got a friend who I've met through TechPixies, Kate Banks. She's a coach and she's been helping me a lot. But she always says to me, you need to bottle how you feel during and after a shoot because it's just infectious, and it is. And I've started recording videos now when I've done a shoot because it's just like, oh my God. Yeah, I love it so much. And it really, what's the word? It inspires me to keep going even when it's sort of difficult and when I'm balancing everything else.
Well, and two things that I love about this. Number one, it's no longer a hobby. You actually make money doing it and you make good money doing it. So that's the cool part. The other thing about that, which I think is so cool, is obviously that you're doing what you love, and the skills that you have carry into your other role as well, because you can literally get
very much so.
and do all the photography. So, it's whenever someone's doing something that they love, they just light up as you do. And I just think that is so cool. It just is one of my favorite parts. But now you decided to switch to being a brand photographer, and then boom, the pandemic hit. But what I love was you did not let that stop you, and everything is figure outable. So tell people about the package you offered during the COVID years that really made you, and in many ways you carry on doing today, even though you could meet in real life, but the time to get to a client might be a long time. They might be in a different country. So you've taken photos of people in New York, in Switzerland, in the UK. Where else am I missing?
Portugal, Jersey. Oh gosh, trying to remember all of them now.
But never had to get on a plane. So tell people how you did it. Scotland.
Okay. It was one of those moments where, as a in-person photographer, I have to be in the same vicinity as you, and I have to come to you, or you come to me. So when the pandemic hit, that became completely impossible. And there was something that was sort of talked about really early on called FaceTime photography. I don't have an iPhone, so I couldn't do that. And so I sort of experimented with different ways of doing it, couldn't get it to work. And then this amazing piece of software came out that it's basically an app, and it allows me you download the app to your phone, allows me access to your phone. You have to give me permission, so I can't just come on. But it means I can control the camera on your phone. I can do the lighting, the exposure, the focus, all from my studio, wherever in the world you are. To be quite honest, the only thing we have to figure out is time zones. But it's incredible, and the quality of the photographs, if you've seen any of my stuff online, you'll see it's amazing. It's fantastic for content creation. So if you just want to update something, or you've got a new haircut and you just need to sort of update your profile picture, it's a very easy way to do it. The actual process is quite straightforward, but one of the things that I think I take away from it mostly is a lot of us women are very time poor. We always have to be there for other things. We always have other things we have to do. So if we know, if we work together, I know that within an hour we can get a good stock of images for you to use on your social media, and then you can go to the school run, or you can go and look, do the other responsibilities that you have. It's so succinct and easy to do and straightforward, and it doesn't take up all your day. The only thing that people say when they do a virtual shoot with me is they have to tidy up their house. But it's quite good because it could be anywhere. Ultimately, it doesn't have to be your house. If you've got, if you hire a nice room or a nice house or something, we can do a shoot virtually from there. But it's just, all it needs is a good internet connection, and then we're done. So yeah, it's amazing, and it has made a huge difference to my business. It gives me much more flexibility, as well as the ladies that I shoot photos with. I was so excited when I got a shoot in New York. I was very disappointed I couldn't actually go. But that was amazing. Just to say that I've done a shoot in New York is incredible, and certainly not something I'd have ever dreamed of before I started.
And that's what I want to go back to. Like, I want to go back to Jane, who's making the decision to invest in a social media training program. She's sitting there as a TA. She doesn't see a future there. I mean, it's not the future that you were really excited about, and it didn't quite work with your schedule and everything else. If I could play this video to you now, if I could take this video now and play it back to Jane, I don't know how long we've been working together, 4 years, 5 years. If I could go and play
2018, I think it was, I joined.
Yeah. So 5 years, we've known each other for 5 years. If I could play this video 5 years ago, to Jane then, which Jane Hyder, who's now Jane Hyde, right? Like, anyway, I mean, what would you say? Would you believe it? Would you?
Yeah, no, I don't know that I would believe it. I'd feel very positive about it, but I think TechPixies came along in my life when there was a huge changes. I'd lost my father a year or so before, and then I'd got divorced, and then I had 2 little boys that needed their mum. And I was in a very supportive environment in a school. They were absolutely wonderful, but it wasn't bringing me enough money, and it wasn't allowing me to grow as a person. And I think it's made me realise how much I always want to do better. I always want to strive to do more. But having TechPixies, yeah, I don't know how I'd explain it to myself, to be quite honest, looking back. I mean, I was watching a video that I did for you just sort of in between the pandemics, and it was just like, even then is incredible, the difference.
Well,
yeah,
that was when you were just starting out on your photography journey, and I asked you to come and do all the photography for our for another filming thing we were doing, which you did a great job, and it was so much fun. And I think that's what I love about TechPixies. Like, it's a safe space to try stuff out, to do things, and you're going to be fully supported. In fact, many of your first clients from the branding perspective, and many of the continued clients, are TechPixies, and that's I think what also speaks to the fact that it's not just a course, it's a community.
Completely. And I mean, when I started the virtual photography, I couldn't just go straight out and have paying clients for that, because I had to figure it out. And so it was a real case of my TechPixies cohort. Right, ladies, I need some guinea pigs. and everyone sort of rallied, and I did different shoots with different people just to figure out the best lighting, the best positioning. And again, I've got some amazing photographs from that. But I think throughout the whole journey, since I found TechPixies, the TechPixies as a community have been there for me. Yeah, exactly.
We're now.
Yeah, have been very much part of my life and my support network. I mean, I'd mentioned Kate before. Kate was my accountability partner in one of our very early days of our online calls. And I still meet up with Kate, and we still talk probably every couple of weeks about how things are going in her business, how things are going in mine. And we sort of, jolly each other along. And it's just so nice, because I think one of the problems you have in your location is if you're in an environment where nobody else is doing that, or nobody else is striving to do better or wanting to improve, it's very hard. I don't have anybody really in my groups that is doing anything like what I'm trying to do or anything like that. Not that that's a negative, but you don't have someone to talk to about it. Whereas I can phone Kate and go, "Oh my God, this was amazing!" And she's like, "Yay!" You feel like you've got a whole cheerleader gang for you, because they get it. You've gone through it and they understand what it takes to get to that level. You know, people around you, families, can be supportive and they're amazing, but they just haven't been through the process. They don't get it. So
Yeah, and
having,
there is a process, right? You got to trust the
yeah,
process. But one of the first things we teach, we do two major things in the boot camp, which then carries on also to our other trainings. But the very first thing we do is, the power of yet,
yeah,
which is so important. I don't know how to do this
yeah,
yet. And then the
yeah.
second thing that we teach is the vision board. Now, let's talk about your vision board because I mean, we're like 5 years later. So, what was on that very first vision board? Because I know you've done a couple since, but what was on the very
Yeah.
first vision board?
I love my vision boards. You know, and it sounds, sometimes you think it sounds really cheesy, but it's just having that visual in front of you is just been, I mean, my screensaver on my phone is a new vision board. You know, the background is all the different things that I want to try and achieve. My very first vision board was do more photography, tick. Read more, which I've pretty much just started doing, which has been something that's been sort of on the back burner for a long time. So it's really nice to get back into that. But the biggest thing, and I think you'll appreciate this, is my dog. Yeah, unfortunately, I lost my dog just after the divorce. And you know, it wasn't the right time to bring a new a new thing that needed me into the family network. And it was something that I've always wanted, because I've always had a dog in my life in some way or another. So yeah, I had a picture of a golden retriever on my vision board, and now I have my Wilson, who's a very soppy golden retriever who I adore. But it's things like that that I knew I wanted it, but it wasn't sort of at the forefront of my mind. But by doing the vision board, it made me realize, yeah, and actually this is quite important to me. And it really helps you sort of scribble down what the important things are.
Well, and it was great because when we vision boarded a golden retriever, my daughter, really wanted one for her whole life. And finally, on her 13th
Yeah,
birthday, it was like, come on, guys, it's my big birthday. It's time. I've been asking for this for 13 years, which she has, to be fair, pretty much since she
yeah,
could speak. She was saying the word dog. But of course, you and I have the same type of golden retriever, and you were so sweet because we were messaging back and forth, and then you sent me a golden retriever book, which my husband read. Like so it was just so great. But I mean, there's a lot of dog lovers in the TechPix community, but we also have people in the TechPix community who have ducks and gerbils and hamsters and horses and miniature horses and goats and
yeah,
and sheep, and there's all sorts of animals. But I
mm,
think that's the point is, it's, and it's a community is, it's a place that's safe. It's a place that's supportive. And in the TechPix community, it's a place where you have partners in believing, people who believe in what you want to achieve and believe it's possible
yeah,
for you, no matter what it is. And they're not going to put their limitations on you.
mm,
And the funny thing is as people start to understand that and lean into that, then gradually over time, like you said, you get these bigger visions and these bigger things you want to go for, because we are part of an ever expanding universe. And why we would think that we don't want to ever expand is sort of
yeah,
strange, considering that we're in an environment that's ever expanding around us.
mm,
Um, but we have to take care of ourselves and the environment, that's for sure. Otherwise, we run out of gas and the environment runs out of gas. But the
yeah,
fact is, if we're taking care of ourselves and if we are taking steps every day towards something we would love, we're going to make progress. You don't get to not
yeah,
you don't get to not breathe, every day. It's one of those things. Your heart's beating, your breath is coming in and out of your lungs. And so 365 days from now, you're either going to create a life you love, or you're going to create a life, by default, and one that you're not so hot about. So what I love about
yeah,
you is that your whole life, the last 5 years, has been shaped by your dreams, your visions. You've stayed connected to the community. Now you've got this job in digital marketing. So tell us about the job you're doing now, because I think that'll be interesting to people. The brand
yeah,
photography is, you're making money doing that. You love doing that. You do that in every spare minute that you can. That's what you're doing. But you also have a job where you've got, stable, steady income that you can rely on and trust that, funds your lifestyle along with the other business. So you've still got two businesses
yeah,
going on here, or a job and a business, which is,
yeah,
a wonderful thing, to have that stability, especially in this economy, right? Have the stability, but
yeah.
the bonus income. So what's the job like? Tell people what it's like to be a digital marketer.
Okay, well, I mean, one of the things I wanted to sort of go back to is when you said about yet and everything like that. And I think it's important for people to see sort of the distance I've come. You know, you said about being a teaching assistant and everything like that, and that's exactly where I was. But it was always something that I always wanted to use the social media to do more. And the school I was in I was actually in it's one of those sort of moments where something happens and you have to decide to go for it. There was an opening in the office in the school I was in, and it was, it was no more money. It was, wasn't social media, but it meant I could get into the office, which I think anybody that works in a school knows how hard it is to leave a school environment and go and work in an office or go and do something else, because they're like, oh, you're a teaching assistant, that glitter and glue. Yeah, it is, but there's a lot more to it. And by being in the office, I could then was able to support the marketing manager and actually do some bits for her. And it started off a little bit of photography, then with the advent of Canva, and obviously I really enjoy using Canva. So I was able to do designs for the school. So that's sort of how it moved on. But that then gave me the experience so that when a job came up, like the one I'm at the moment, I actually had the confidence to go for it. And I think using the word yet is very good when you're applying for roles, because I think us women are very good at saying, oh, I haven't got all of that requirements, so there's no point. There's an awful lot of requirements that you have, or maybe you haven't got them quite yet, but once you get through the door, you can attain them. And that was something that I used when I applied for this job, because it was quite terrifying. I will say, because it's a marketing job, I actually used Canva to do my CV and branded it all up with their colours and their fonts and everything.
Nice.
And I know that got their attention. And because the lady that interviewed me, she goes, when your CV landed on my desk, I was like, oh my gosh. So it's worth the effort, ladies.
And that's actually something, I mean, just on a side note, that's one of the bonuses we have, is the branding bonus right from the get-go, because what we learned is if people understand branding, it takes everything to a whole new level professionally. And I just love that you branded your CV to match the brand of the business you were going into, that is so cool. Okay, tell us more. Keep going. I just think that's a super cool pause there for a second.
No, well, I think it's worth highlighting, because when you do a CV in Canva, it does take a long time, because it's not just typing a Word document, but it's worth the effort, and it pushes you above the other applications that are a Word document. So that was a marketing and media assistant. So I joined our local hospice. We deal with palliative care and care for people who have long-term medical conditions or illnesses. Considering the subject that we deal with, it's an amazingly supportive, happy place. And that's one of the things that I love shouting about on the social media, making people aware that it isn't a scary place. It's not just a place where people come to die. It's an incredible place. But anyway, so I joined them, and I think that was in the February. And then in the November, they created a new role, which they threw out to everyone, so I applied. And I think I wouldn't have done that. And it's, the fact that I thought I could even do it. So it's digital marketing officer. So I applied for that and got it, even with this menopausal brain in my interview going, I can't remember what you said. But I now work as a digital marketing officer, but I'm part of the communications team, but I'm like the liaison with the fundraising team. We have like 7 fundraising teams that have to have all their own social media, all their own designs done, their leaflets, their flyers, their posters, their social media posts, videos, all that sort of stuff. So I work as liaison with them. So they come to me, we work out what they need, when they need it by, and then I go to the communications team and we work out who's doing what and how we're going to achieve that for them. And it's going really well, and I love it. It's manic, it's really full on, but it's so varied, and I get to be creative. I get to take my camera to events and record that. So I get to have my camera in my hand, do what I love, but I also get to do all the creative side of stuff. And I'm learning every day all the different aspects of it. I'm going to meetings and sitting in meetings and talking what I'm doing, and I still don't feel like I know what I'm doing, but I'm obviously giving off the impression that I do, because it's been very well received. I love it. It's really nice to sort of have the balance of the two. It is quite hard sometimes to get the balance right, but no, I love the photography, and I love being able to bring those skills that I have to another role, so at the hospice, which again is supporting people in the local community.
I love everything about this story. I just do. And I always know that people who show up, do the work, they're going to get the results. I do. It just always works out. What's fun for me is seeing how it works out. These conversations, years and years later, when you go, it all worked out. Because the important thing to understand is the mentality change that we make, the mindset changes
Yeah,
that we make, especially from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset, and dealing with, like you said, the automatic negative thoughts, the ants. As we learn to deal with those, squash the ants, and start thinking with a growth mindset, it doesn't just affect like you for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks. It's months and years. I mean, it changes not just your life, but the lives of people around you. So have you
that
seen
was
an
exactly what.
impact? Yeah. Have
Yeah,
you
that's
seen?
exactly what I was going to say. At the end of the day, my boys see me, getting better jobs, going out and working. They see, people come, it's stuff, they're nearly, or they're adults nearly, which is really scary. But they see my stuff that I put out. They see what people say. They take the mick out of me, as teenage boys will do. But I think they sort of appreciate and they understand how hard I work and how hard I strive to do more. And I think what I was saying, like you said, my growth mindset now enables me to help them think about how they want to do things and what they want to do and what direction their life can take. And also not saying, well, this is the path you've chosen, so that's what you're going to be doing for the rest of your life. I think that's really key. I mean, I trained in hotel management, so my qualifications are hotel management, then it was banking, then it was IT, then it was childcare. So the variation of my career is quite huge, and making my children realize that that's a possibility for them, even if they choose this direction, doesn't mean they can't go off in another bit. I'm very jealous of my eldest at the moment. He's just finished his first year at university, and he's doing digital film production. It's like, I want to do
Wow.
that. But yeah, it's sort of incredible to sort of see that. And my youngest, he had lots of struggles at school, and he's excelling now. He's left school, and it's wonderful. So it's definitely affects everybody around you when you sort of get in that sort of headspace.
Yeah, and it's a way of thinking, and it's a way of practicing being. And I think
Mm.
that's the biggest change in terms of what I've seen is not just about the women we work with, but it's the impact it has on their families and the next
Mm.
generation, of thinkers. Really,
Yeah.
everything you're one thought away from changing your life, and it's just
Mm.
about recognizing the thoughts and knowing how to change them.
Mm.
Well, I knew this was going to be a really fun interview, and I'm so grateful that we got to do it because I've just watched you over the years just go from strength to strength. And I think one thing you said that's really important is that you kept putting yourself forward for opportunities, as they
Mm.
came up, even if you didn't have all the qualifications or you felt like you didn't know how to do everything. You used the power of yet to say, well, I don't know how to do that yet, but I figured out how to do this, so I can figure out how to do that, right?
Yeah.
And so I love that so much. And I think what I take away from this is, when opportunities came up, even if you didn't feel ready for them, you used your growth mindset, you leaned into it, you took them. And actually it's a stepping stone, because even to get to the job you
Yeah.
have now, there was another job in between. And, as you're working your way through this, you're
Yeah.
taking action, focused on the vision. And like you said, you have many vision boards, right? You started with one, but so
Yeah.
tell us so this is my final sort of question, if you will. Tell us what's on the vision board now, and that you're willing to share. Sometimes people want to
Yeah.
keep some of the dreams safe and, for a little while longer, but the dreams that you'd be willing to share, so that when we have a conversation 10 years from now, you can tell me what life's like all about. So what's on the vision board now?
Okay, well, I've got obviously some serious ones and some silly ones. But one of my serious ones that I want to do, and so if anybody follows me on LinkedIn, they'll know that one of the things I want to try and achieve is to get some of my work written, published, or in a magazine or anything like that. So that's something that is my goal. And one of the things I did with that was it was one of the things I wanted to do, and I thought, well, let's make it reality then, even if I'm just writing it for myself. So I wrote an article about virtual photography. I mean, it hasn't gone anywhere, but I've written it, so I've actually made it a reality. So hopefully that's something that can change in the future. I've put on there that I want to be, one of the things we talk about quite a lot is being seen as an expert. So be in the position where I can actually talk about what I do. I mean, and a very small step towards that is a couple of months ago, I went to a local junior school and did a photography presentation to year 5 and year 6. And I figured that if I could do that to 60 odd children and keep them engaged and present, and I did, and I loved it. I was terrified. And I thought, why am I putting myself forward for this? And I booked time off work to go and do this. And I'm like, I'm making myself more stressed. But again, you'll see it on my social media. I recorded a video after I came out of that, and I was just on cloud 9. The other thing, I think I've lots of the things on my vision board are like travel. Want to do more travel. Want to spend more time in Italy. It's amazing. I want to move house potentially, or sort this house out. And then the funniest thing, which hopefully I'll have by this time, is a pair of Louboutins, with the red heel and the red sole. So they're on there. So hopefully I'll be able to show you those.
Oh my God.
I reckon I've made it when I can afford those.
Stick your leg up.
So yeah, so I know I've made it when I can afford those. I just won't wear them.
You can wear them to Henley.
Oh yeah, well, I think that's in a couple of years.
It'll go into the grass. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Okay, well, you've got a lot of people who are loving listening to this. Claire Louise says, I love everything about this. The happiness is infectious. Well done on what you love and doing what you love and doing it well. I love that. Lindsay, who's also a tech pixie, she says, Jane, you're an amazing woman and have infectious happiness. I absolutely love that. And you've inspired Nicola, who says she's a TA at the moment, but she's looking to change direction. Inspirational. And Claire says, so lovely to watch this and very inspiring. Thank you. And of course, Amrita says, love your energy, Jane. You are infectious, Jane. And that's one of the wonderful gifts that you have.
It's certainly something that I know that this is another thing that Kate keeps telling me. Because I know majority of people, when they want their photo taken, they know they've got to do it, but they don't want to. It's scary. I mean, I don't like being in front of the camera, believe it or not. And so I completely get it. But every woman I've worked with has always said that they've had a laugh and we've had giggles and it's been fun. And I hope, Kate always says to me, that's my unique selling point. So this is it. So hopefully, but yeah, I think everybody has fun and we have a laugh and it's not serious. And that allows me to get the best out of people. So yeah, and I love when I see photographs that I've taken used on social media. Every time yours pops up with that lovely pink jumper, I'm like, yay! And then, I had, Leanne in Portugal, she started using one of her shit photos and I was like, yay! It's just like every time I see it, I just get that.
Yeah, and to your point, that photo has actually been in the national papers. So, so there you go. So absolutely, look, I am looking forward to, let's just book in another call, let's make it, not make it 5 years, but let's book in another call to see where this goes. It's going to be so exciting. Louise Bailey says, love all that you've said. And Carla says, lovely to listen to you talk, Jane, and how you've developed in your career. Your infectious smile and determination really shine through. Oh, well, we've got to end this call. Otherwise, we're just going to get inundated with all these amazing, beautiful comments. But yeah, no, thank you so much. Thanks for sharing your story. I think it's a story that certainly anyone who's a TA thinking about changing careers needs to hear. You were great at what you did. You loved it, but there was something else you wanted to do, and that was in your heart, and you followed that. And, so important. Claire Louise says she can't wait to see the shoes. All right. Well, there you go. We got a date with Jane's shoes. All right. Thanks, Jane. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
All right. Wow. That was amazing. I feel so honored and blessed and grateful to get to so much energy, so much happiness. Dare I say, so much joy. That was just wonderful. And of course, we share a love of golden retrievers, Jane and I do. And also that in digital marketing and good branding and just good business, right? Jane is an incredible business owner. She takes care of her people. At Tech Pixies, we take care of our people too. So if you're interested in social media coaching, you're interested in business coaching, you're interested in life coaching, we have 3 amazing programs that we can help you no matter where you are in your life. If you don't know what you want to do next, life coaching is the route for you to try and figure that out, navigate that. If you already have a business idea, but you don't know how to get social media up and running, start with social media. Or if you want to become a social media manager, like Jane, she's a digital marketer. Like, her job description is digital marketer. And that's an incredible job. It pays really well. It's a great opportunity. That starts with social media management certification. And if you've got social media and you're not getting enough sales, or you want to get more sales, or you want to learn how to build a business off the back of social media, then we've got our business program. But wherever you are, however we can serve you, we would love to help. Send us an email at support@techpixies.com. Check out all of our free training programs. We run free training every single month, various different programs, our vision workshop, our social media superhero boot camp. We also have other wonderful opportunities where you can learn our business masterclass, our money mindset masterclass, all sorts of ways for you to learn. So go to techpixies.com to find out more. And again, if you want a one-on-one conversation, you want to find out what's best for you, email support@techpixies.com, and we'd love to help you out. Thanks for listening. Have a great week.